All right, welcome back to the First and Gold podcast. I'm your host, Sam Gold, and today we got another tier list. We love doing these. Today we have throwback jerseys, and I hope you guys had a happy Halloween, and you guys dressed up. You know, some of you guys probably dressed up as some NFL players, and you see you got some nice throwback uniform on today. A little mix and match. Got the Chargers jersey, Lance Allworth, and then the little Oilers hat. So, you know, I'm kind of in the festive mood now and excited to do this tier list. So here we go. We're going to hop right into it. We got our normal rankings, S, A, B, C, and F tier. And let's start with the Atlanta Falcons. So their alternate uniforms is these black jerseys and the red helmets with the silver face masks. I think, look, I'm a huge fan of throwback uniforms in general. So I think a lot of these uniforms are going to rank pretty high for me. It's going to be interesting what this order is going to be at the end, because do I rank it? Do I rank it according to the average of how much I like throwback uniforms? So, like, even though I really like the Falcons, if it's still average compared to all of these, do I put it in B tier? That's what I'm thinking right now with the Falcons. So let me put it at B tier for now, even though I prefer they wear those red helmets all the time. I love them. But we'll see where it fits compared to these other uniforms. All right, Falcons B tier. Then the Chicago Bears. So this one is a white jersey. Usually they do wear their home jerseys when they do the throwbacks, though. They have those plain navy helmets with the orange stripes going back. Not a big fan. It's one of the only uniforms, throwback uniforms, I don't mind if I never see them again, to be honest. I know they have a lot of history behind them, and it kind of looks cool, I guess, at Soldier Field. But overall, I'm not going crazy about it. I'm going to put in C tier for now. All right. Browns. Another one I'm not crazy about. I'm going to put it in C tier as well. The only real difference between their regular uniforms now and their throwbacks, I guess, is what, like the stripes on the sleeves and their number font. Maybe their helmet face mask, although they went back to the white face mask this year, so I don't really think it's that much different in general. So in terms of just throwback uniforms overall, I don't really love them that much. All right, Cowboys. It's tough because these are iconic, and it's nice when they wear them on like Thanksgiving or a primetime game. I don't mind the white helmet with the blue star. I think that's kind of cool. But once again, in relation to the rest of these throwback jerseys, I don't... Oh, man. I think there's definitely some people that love these and think they're very classic. But for me, I'm just going to have to put them in B tier. I'll put them behind the Falcons, too. There's just something about them where I don't like when the Cowboys wear their blue jerseys in general. So I prefer more of their regular home uniforms than even these throwbacks. So, yeah, I know some people really like these, but overall, they're just kind of meh to me. Okay, the Broncos. A tier for sure. I said this back on the regular uniform tier list, on their helmet tier list, on their logo tier list. I've said this a million times about the Broncos. If they actually, and they've worn these throwbacks against the Raiders this year already. If they actually went back and wore these with the blue helmets, you know, with the horse coming out of the D, and the orange shirts and the blue pants, or the white pants. Is it white pants? I think it's white pants. Yeah, not blue pants. What am I saying? But if they wore these all the time, look, I'm a Chiefs fan. I hate the Broncos, but that would make me like the Broncos like 5% better, just because of the uniforms, because they're just so great. They're so classic. You know, I'm sure Broncos fans love them because it reminds them. Actually, not really. I guess they won those Super Bowls with Elway with the other helmets and uniforms. But I mean, it reminds them of the good old days for the Broncos and just that classic D on the helmet and the color combo. Just the orange crush, the blue and orange is a good mix. I love teams that go with blue and orange. Yeah, I like the Broncos uniforms for sure. Lions C tier. I'll put it at the top of C tier. I just don't like when they go. I like their jerseys. I think the blue and silver match with the silver numbers looks fine. But the fact that they just don't have a logo on the helmet, it doesn't do anything for me at all. So, yeah, once again, like some of these are just very plain and not completely different from their home uniforms. Like, the Lions isn't that different. They just take off the logo for the most part. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Lions fans. I like your color combo in general, which is why I'm putting it above the Bears and the Browns. But, yeah, C tier is where you're going to land. Packers. Oh, a lot of people think these are ugly. Man, this is another team that gets rid of the logo on the helmet. But there's something about the jersey itself. I don't hate it. I'm between C and B tier right now is basically what I'm thinking. Oh, man. I don't mind it when they're at home, to be honest. I feel like there could be worse uniforms. But for the sake of humanity, because I know people are just not going to like these at all, I'll put them at the top C for now. Yeah, I'll put them at the top C. Colts, B. Maybe even C. Once again, what are they? They put the horseshoes on the back of the helmet, which, I don't know. I'm already not a big fan of the Colts helmet in general. Like, the horseshoe's a fine logo. It is classic, but it's pretty basic with the white helmet. And now you're just removing that and putting it on the back. I guess it's a cool tradition, maybe, but it just doesn't interest me that much. Actually, I'm going to put it in C tier. I'm going to put the Packers ahead of them. I think the Packers is a little more interesting. Yeah. Colts, I don't love it. Actually, I'm going to put the Colts behind the Lions now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's just, I just don't like when they take the logos off. And I guess it's slightly cooler that they put the 2 in the back. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. All right. The Jacksonville Jaguars. They just wore it against the Colts and a few weeks ago. I like the darker teal color. I love the sleeves on the jersey, the old school logo along the sleeve. Their helmets are slightly better. The logo's a little bit more different. I'm going to go with A tier for the Jaguars, and it's right neck and neck with the Broncos, I think. I think it goes tit for tat with them. I think it's like pretty much even for me. So you pick your poison. I guess I'll put the Broncos slightly ahead of it, maybe because I like their helmet a little bit more. But the Jags, man, they should go back to that for sure. I know they're a pretty young franchise, so it's hard to really think of a throwback, which makes all of us around, our age in our 20s feel very old now. But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid uniform. The Raiders, also, I'm between B and A. I think I gotta give them their respect though. I'll go with A tier. The silver numbers are pretty cool. I know they like to wear these as their color rush sometimes as well. Which is why maybe people could debate this isn't that much of a throwback, but it was on this tier list to begin with, so I gotta rank it. Yeah, the Raiders uniforms just look clean in general. They always do. So to put them any lower than at least bottom of A tier feels a little bit wrong for me. I'll see where I assess it at the end of this, but I like the Raiders ones a lot. Okay, for some reason the Dolphins have their aqua and white jerseys. I'm going to throw the white jersey at the bottom and just not rank it because I'm just going to go with their overall aqua throwbacks, which I've said this a million times. That this is the number one reason why the Dolphins are my second favorite team is because of their throwback uniforms. I just love the aqua. I think it's going to be hard to beat. I think this is definitely top 3, and I have to put an S tier. It's my first S tier uniform. This just has the jersey on here. I mean, if you throw up the helmet's great too. I like when the dolphin is a little more arched compared to, it's kind of like squiggly moving up. It has that weird motion now. It looks a little too futuristic. And this one I like a lot. Yeah, I mean, even the sleeves are cool. I actually have a Dolphins throwback uniform I could have worn for this, but I chose the Chargers instead. Why not? But yeah, nothing beats those old school like Dan Marino. I like when the Dolphins wear these in prime time now. They do that sometimes. It looks great. I wish they would just go back to it. Like some of these teams, like I know they signed deals with Nike. What was it? It's been over a decade now, I think, since they really had all those like new Nike uniforms, and that's what the Dolphins have now kept for the last like 12 years. But I don't think anybody would have any pushback if they went back to these uniforms. So, Dolphins, S tier, one of my favorites in the NFL for sure. All right, the Minnesota Vikings are up next. A tier. A tier for sure. Are they better than the Broncos or the Jaguars is the question. Now, they have worn these a couple times in the last 2 years, or I don't know if they've worn them this year, but maybe against the Texans. They definitely wore them against the Bucs last year in week 1. I remember that. They changed their face mask up as well. Here's the thing. Those exact throwbacks don't look... My favorite Vikings uniforms are the late 90s Randy Moss uniform. They have a little more yellow in them. The purple on their helmet's darker. I think they got the darker purple jersey right in this picture. But when I seen them wearing it in person now, I don't feel like it's exactly the same. It's like a slightly more modernized version of the throwback. So I'm gonna put them behind the Broncos and the Jaguars for now. But I definitely prefer a darker purple. I think it's too light now. I don't love the helmet as much as the old one. So I do, in general, like the Vikings throwback uniform. So yeah, I'll put it an A for now. The Patriots, another A tier. I am actually, this is very high for me. It's like neck and neck with the Broncos as well. Pat Patriot, it has to put it at the top of A. It's just so baffling. I get it. I mean, like red, white, and blue, and a little bit of silver, I guess looks fine. It's a classic Tom Brady uniform. It was the uniform they had during their entire dynasty. They still have now, but now that the dynasty's over, just go back. They just wore it Drake May's first start. It just looked amazing. The Pat Patriot helmet is almost unmatched between any other throwback helmet in the NFL. The red jerseys pop when you see them on the screen, especially at home. Like when you see them wear those home uniforms on a December snowy home game in Gillette Stadium, there's almost nothing that tops that aesthetically. I love the different matchups you could have against other teams when you're wearing the home uniforms. I remember last year on Sunday Night Football, they wore these against the Dolphins, who wore their white with aqua pants. I thought that was amazing. So, yeah, definitely top-notch for the Patriots. I don't really like the Patriots in many other aspects, but they're going to rank high here on the throwback uniform tier list. All right. The Saints, I'm going to put it at the bottom of B tier. I think a lot of people like these more than I do. There's something off about the gold in these. And I'm actually not a huge fan of those stripes either on the sleeves. The helmets are fine. They just wore these against the Broncos on Thursday Night Football like a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I think a lot more people like these more than I do. There's something about it that looks a little more mustardy, if that makes sense. It's something about the gold, especially when they wear those lighter gold pants. It just looks off. It looks gross. I'm still going to give it its respect and put it in B tier, but it's definitely behind the Cowboys and the Falcons. Giants, A tier. I love them. I'll put them, above or below the Vikings? That's the question. Their current uniforms I respect. And the NY is classic on the helmet. I mean, Eli Manning, that he represents those uniforms, the 2 Super Bowls that they won. But man, you throw one of these jerseys on with the actual Giants spelled out on the helmet, the darker blue. It reminds you of Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, the first Super Bowls that they won. I love they have a little more red in their uniform, which I like. I'll put it right behind the Vikings. I think it's like pretty much tied, but certainly A tier. I love when they wear these. And it's just like they're just one of those franchises where you can't go wrong unless you have these next uniforms coming up. Which is funny that I said that because okay, these are the 100th anniversary Giants throwback uniforms that are on here, where it's these jerseys you see here, and they're basically wearing khakis as pants, and their helmet is just one of the weirdest looking helmets I've ever seen. I almost want to put it like top of C, bottom of B. I know it sounds crazy. I am one of the few people that didn't flat out hate these uniforms. I don't love them. I still love the Giants throwbacks we just talked about a lot more. But listen, like, the color does pop when you're on the field. I actually don't hate, like, the khaki-colored pants. I think there's certainly been worse throwback uniforms. That's what I have to say. A lot of people say these are, like, the ugliest ones they've ever seen. They're going to want me to put this in F tier. I don't care what people say. I'm putting it at the top of C tier. I think I'm the only one that was visually pleased watching Giants-Vikings because maybe the Vikings with their purple kind of complimented it. But I don't know, a sunny home game in MetLife against the Vikings when they were wearing those uniforms, it looked interesting. I was drawn into it. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. The Jets. Now, they just wore these against the Bills on Monday Night Football. It is their, I mean, this was their uniforms for the entire 21st century up until very recently. And then, obviously, they wore these with Joe Namath in their only Super Bowl that they won. It's the classic green sleeves, and they have the white helmet with the football logo that says Jets on the inside. Very classic. I'm just not huge on that specific green color. I like the uniforms right now. I like the revamp that they did this season. I thought that's their best uniforms so far. I know a lot of people are clamoring for them to go back to the white helmet. So, all right, I'm going to put it in B tier, and I'll even put it above the Saints. I like it a little bit more than the Saints. I think that's a solid place to put the Jets. Okay, a big one here. Kelly Green Eagles uniforms. Do I make the jump to S tier? And I think I will. But they're going to be behind the Dolphins because the Dolphins I just love so much. But, yeah, these are just, I mean, just look at them. I mean, throw up a picture of their Kelly Green helmets with the silver wing. Just beautiful. I love that they put the Eagle logo on the sleeve. It looks great in a home game when they do up the end zones, and then they put the flying eagle in the middle of the field. I think they're wearing them against the Jaguars in a couple of weeks. That's an odd matchup, but yeah, these, I mean, come on, Eagles. Let's go. Just bring them back. Literally every single person, every Eagles fan wants these to come back. It's probably, I'm sure most people like it more than the Dolphins one, but I just personally like the Aqua a little bit more. Kelly Green has to be S tier for sure. Steelers. Now, out of respect, I'm going to put it in B tier, but there's not that much difference. I think it's literally, maybe it's the sleeves. I don't know. They just wore these against the Jets on Sunday Night Football. The only difference that I noticed, I think, is the letter font, or the number font, I should say. They made it a little more bolder, bigger, and blockier. Is that really it? I think that's it for the Steelers. So I'm just going to give them respect just because their uniforms are good in general, but there's not that much change there. All right. 49ers. I don't like these. I really don't. I got to put it in C tier. A lot of people are going to hate me for this. A lot of people love the 49ers throwback uniforms. But one of my favorite parts of the 49ers uniforms is their gold pants. So they don't wear the gold pants with these. They go these jerseys. I don't like the stripes either. I don't like the font. I mean, the helmet I think stays the same for these. But yeah, if you're going red with white pants, it's just not going to do it for me as the 49ers. So I'm actually going to put it like behind the Lions. Okay, the Seahawks. This is another one where I'm bordering S tier. We have some heavy hitters coming up in these next three. Oh, man, is the Seahawks number... All right, I am going to put it in S tier. I think the Seahawks ones are just beautiful. They wore it in week 1 this year. They wore it last year a couple times against the Cowboys and against the Browns. I thought that was a good matchup. Yeah, I mean, I even like the normal Seahawks uniforms, and I want them to go back to these. These are like the classic Dave Craig, Steve Largent days, 80s, 90s Seahawks, before they moved to like their grossest uniforms of all time, which was the 2000s, like Sean Alexander, Matt Hasselbeck ones. I don't like those at all. But yeah, these are just awesome. I would not mind them going back to these uniforms at all. Look at that blue. Look at the blue and silver combo. It's just great. All right, Bucks S tier. I'm putting it atop of the list right now. You rather love them or hate them. This is the most controversial jersey in the NFL. They called them the Yuccaneers for this reason exactly. It's the creamsicle uniforms. A lot of people back in the day when this first came out were just like, why the fuck would you ever make a team with this uniform or this color? But it just works, man. It just works. The pirate on the helmet too. It's just so classic. I love it. I'm waiting for them to wear it this season. I'm not sure what game it is. They wore it last year just once, I believe. But man, I mean, this is just miles ahead. Better than pewter. Come on, pewter? Get out of here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Creamsicle number 1. It's like one of my favorites. And then the one that might top it all, the reason why I'm wearing the helmet. Yeah, I'm going to do it. This is number 1. I am going with the Tennessee Titans throwbacks, the Houston Oilers. Powder blue. It's my favorite color. The helmet is so classic. I would love... whether it's the Texans or the Titans, I don't care. I don't even know who owns it anymore. I mean, the Titans claim it, of course, because they have the throwbacks on here, and they wore them the last 2 years. But man, whatever team it is, just go back to the Oilers, please. I have a lot of Oilers memorabilia upstairs too. It's just so classic, and I didn't even live during that time. I wasn't even alive when they were the Oilers. So that's how much I'm clamoring for them to come back. I think it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The blue and red combo with the white helmet. Nothing can beat it. The Buffalo Bills. Now, the helmet is my favorite Bills helmet, but there's absolutely nothing special about the rest of their uniform. So, unfortunately, the Bills, I'm going to have to put at the bottom of B tier. I like the Buffalo just standing there in the helmet. It's funny. I know a lot of people don't like it, so they probably want me to put it in C tier. But just because of the helmet, I'm going to sneak it up to B tier. The Baltimore Ravens, C tier. I'll put it at the top of C tier. Now, here's the thing. Some of these coming up, I have different types of pictures for a reason, because these uniforms, these teams are not even going to wear this season. And some of these teams haven't even worn these since they moved off of these uniforms. But these are the only quote-unquote throwbacks I could really find for them. So, with the Ravens, you have the weird shield helmet. I believe they only wore it for their first ever season. Maybe their first two, I can't remember. It's got the big logo on the shield as well. Yeah, they just haven't gone back and worn this yet. Maybe 2010. Because the AFC did a throwback. I think it was like the 50th anniversary of the AFC being formed. So a bunch of teams wore the throwbacks. But also the Ravens are a new team. So I don't know if they wore that. Overall, I mean, I love the purple uniforms in general, but I definitely like their helmet better now, and they don't wear it that often, so I'm going to put it in C tier. Okay, the Chiefs, my favorite team. This is their Dallas Texans. Oh, gosh. I got to be honest. It's such a stupid uniform. Just Texas on the helmet with a little star in it. I mean, the jerseys aren't that impressive. The red is a little bit darker. I don't know if I like that. So I hate to say it as a Chiefs fan. You know what? Actually, I'm going to move the Bills down to C tier. I actually like the Ravens better than the Bills, and I like the Dallas Texans a little bit better than the Bills. The Dallas Texans and the Bills uniforms are neck and neck for me, just because the helmets are so funny, and I don't know what reason the Chiefs would ever have to wear this again. The only reason they wore it with Matt Castle, as you can see in this picture, is because, just like I explained, in 2010, they had the 50th anniversary of the AFC. That's it. Before we get to our last few here, let me move some to F tier. We haven't put a single one in F tier. It's not a tier list without something in F tier, right? Like we got to move some of these down. So, unfortunately, for a couple of these teams, I'm going to put the Bears in F tier. I'm going to put the Browns in F tier. And I don't necessarily hate the other ones as much to move them down. So, Bears, Browns, sorry, F tier. All right. The Chargers. Now, it's tough with the Chargers. I had to kind of pick and choose which one. And I chose their late 70s, 80s uniform, where it was like this lighter blue, like more like a royal blue, and yellow was really prominent in their uniforms. They had the yellow face masks, the yellow bolt on their helmet. It had a darker blue helmet, which I actually like these uniforms a lot. You know, I'm going to put it on top of B tier. The Chargers uniforms they wear now, the powder blues that I have, those are my favorite uniforms in the NFL in general, bar none. So I can't put these that high. But sneakily underrated good uniforms are the Dan Fouts Chargers in the 80s. I like these more than the LaDainian Tomlinson navy blue uniforms that the Chargers have. So, very sneaky. I don't think a lot of people are talking about these. I'm putting it at the top of B tier. Yeah, I like them. Okay, the Cardinals. They really haven't changed their uniforms up until this past last season, when they just went like all red, all white, or all black uniforms. The only reason I even put a picture up here is because I feel like they never wear their white jerseys with red pants anymore. So I guess that's a throwback. But it's the Cardinals, so you know how this goes on tier list videos. F tier. I'm sorry. I'll put you over the Browns, though, because I don't think the Browns are anything special. Okay, our last two, we have the Rams. And I'm picking one of my favorite uniforms in the NFL. I'm going to put it in S tier. I'll put it above the Seahawks. The blue and yellows. And it's perfect from top to bottom. I want them to go back to this so badly. I've said this many times on the podcast. I don't understand why they wear the IKEA colored uniforms anymore. I guess they wanted a new look when they went to SoFi, a more futuristic look. But this is no shot worse than the IKEA uniform. This is the best. Man, I almost want to put it higher, but I'll keep it in 5th place for now. I mean, it's just so classic. They wore these in the Super Bowl. I thought it was beautiful. The helmet, the yellow is perfect. I like the darker blue helmet with slightly lighter blue jersey. It is actually kind of similar to the Chargers one I just ranked, but I think with that helmet, it just makes it look so cool. And I loved when they wore those home uniforms in the Coliseum. One of the most underrated stadiums in the NFL. I loved when the Rams played at the Coliseum. I thought it was so cool. Finally, the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me go ahead and get the helmet here that I'm referencing in this picture. I mean, come on. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's got the lettering on the helmet here. It's just a plain orange helmet, but it's very classic. It's got the gray face mask. They've actually rumored that they might bring it out this season or next season. I'm not sure. And this I have like a weird Joe Burrow photoshopped wearing these uniforms, so I don't know what that is. The stripes on their sleeves are a little bit different as well. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in the bottom of A tier for the Bengals. I think the Bengals have one of the best uniforms in the NFL. I wouldn't say this one is as good as their current. I think their current helmet is the best in the NFL. But still very cool. I think it's solid. All right, so there we go. There's our throwback uniform tier list. I'm going to look very quickly and see if I want to rearrange anything. The S tier goes as follows: Oilers/Titans, Bucks throwbacks, Dolphins, Eagles, Rams, and Seahawks. I think I'm going to go ahead and put the Patriots. I know, I can't believe I'm saying it. So I'm going to put the Patriots in S tier too. There's a lot of great throwback uniforms. So I'm going to move the Patriots up. And then I'll keep my A tier as is, which is the Broncos, Jaguars, Vikings, Giants, Raiders, and Bengals. B tier, I'm going to move the Falcons right ahead of the Chargers, but I think this is also a pretty solid one. So it's going to be B tier is Falcons, Chargers, Cowboys, Jets, Saints, and Steelers. Okay, the C tier is good. As follows, it's going to be the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Giants, Packers, Lions, 49ers, and Colts. And then, unfortunately, for these fan bases, I'm sorry, these throwbacks are the Bears, Cardinals, and Browns in F tier as your 3 worst uniforms. So sorry, Browns fans. Came to the end of the video. You guys have the worst throwbacks. Titans fans, or even maybe Texans fans, whoever claims it. The Oilers are, in my opinion, the best throwback uniforms. So there you go. That was a lot of fun. We're going to keep doing these tier lists throughout the season. Another uniform one down in the books. This one was very exciting and interesting. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, interact with us, follow us on all the socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at First and Gold. And yeah, I hope you guys had a great Halloween and continue to enjoy this NFL season. We'll see you next video. Goodbye.